All right, big bro. So
Yes, sir.
we have covered a lot today. I want to cover one more thing.
Okay.
It's called BRICS. You need to tell us exactly what BRICS is and what that kind of means for the rest of the world.
Okay. BRICS means a great deal to this one.
Spell it.
It's going to increase it. It's the acronym is
BRICS.
BRICS. Yeah. Now BRICS initially started in
So hang on, that is Brazil,
Brazil, Russia,
India,
China, and South Africa.
South Africa.
Yeah, but when it first started, it was called BRIC. It wasn't plural.
There was no South Africa.
No, because there was no South Africa. I think South Africa joined 2010.
Okay.
And it started off as a union of interested countries, we put it like that, who were interested in building agreements based on non-interference, equality, and mutual benefit.
Right.
Who do you think that's a jab at?
That's a jab at America.
Anyway, and so essentially, what has happened is that once it started that way, it started to change around about 2009, 2010, to move into almost like an intergovernmental organization based again on the same principles that I just spoke about. One of the most interesting thing about BRICS is that their members at present cover around about 47% of the world. So it's not an organization that can be ignored for long. It's impossible for it to go. If you look at the population of China at the moment, is around about 1.4 plus billion. You're looking at India, practically round about the same, and growing, by the way. And so, as I said, they can't be ignored. The fact that they can merge their economic power in order to become powerful as a bloc and as a bulwark, if you like, against the G7 nations, which is essentially the European nations aligned with China, with Japan, who is, as I said to you, is literally just a vassal state of America. I think that what BRICS are doing is going to be very, very interesting because it's almost like a pushing back of the tide of the status quo, which exists at the moment. I think the most important thing that BRICS has done, though, is when in 1914 they created the New Development Bank. And I think one of the reasons why that was important because it was an alternative to the World Bank or the IMF.
The International Monetary Fund.
Well, other people refer to it as something else.
Right.
Yeah? International MF, but whatever, you understand what I mean. Anyway, so they initially put in 50 billion of seed money into this organization. And they also created what was called a liquidity mechanism called a contingent reserve arrangement. Liquidity just means available monies which are there. So that was to support members struggling with payments. If you remember before, under both the World Bank and the IMF, they had what was entitled debt for land restructuring. So, for example, they would go and borrow a country, I don't know, £1 billion, with the interest payments and stuff over the period that it is, they'd probably end up paying back 8-9 billion pounds. And then if they couldn't pay that money, what they would do, they would take the infrastructure of that country. I mean, if you look at Greece, for example, Greece is now being run by technocrats, and because it had problems in itself, the bankers came in and looked at the country and said, well, what can we take?
Yes.
Anyway, so I think that BRICS and the organization BRICS looks at things a little bit differently to how the World Bank and the IMF, which for me, again, I still call it America, because they dictate what happens around the world at the moment. In 2021, I think it was Egypt, UAE, Bangladesh, they took up shares
in BRICS.
In BRICS. As we speak, we're looking now at Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Argentina, Mexico, Nigeria. They'll all eventually join. And I think that one of the reasons why they're going to be looking at joining is because effectively the US dollar is dead. Now, essentially what has happened is if you look at from 2007, 2008, the US was in debt to the tune of 6 billion.
Yep.
6 trillion, excuse me. 6 trillion. They can only wish for 6 billion. They were in debt to the tune of 6 trillion. Now it's just over 33 trillion. One of the reasons why the
under Joe Biden.
Well, under Joe Biden. Well, to be perfectly honest, President Obama doubled the national debt. In fact, President Obama created more debt in his 8 years in the presidency than all the debt that had been accrued since America.
But we were just told that he was great because he was a black president.
And as I said, anyway, he's black, okay. I think that he doubled, tripled that debt. I mean, he created an inordinate amount of debt. What most people won't tell you is that Donald Trump also created a tremendous amount of debt. I mean, one could argue that he created the debt in order to invest in the American people. Certainly, when you look at what has occurred with Afghanistan, Afghanistan was a war that took between 6 and 8 trillion of the U.S. economy, and I think that essentially, when you look at the debt that America now has, because America is no longer on a gold standard, they came off, I think, it was 72, 73. And they came off of the gold standard. And the only reason why America had any standing, at least economically, was because they did the deal with the Saudis and made the US dollar. The
oil can only be dealt in US dollar.
Absolutely correct. And that boosted America in a way in which nothing else certainly could. But at the moment...
But remember, Saddam wanted to change from the dollar to the euro.
He did for a period of time, and he paid for his life, as did Muammar Gaddafi. Paid with his life because they were looking at using a gold dinar, and so their economy would be backed by gold. It's one of the reasons why Russia and China are buying up so much gold at the moment as we speak. But the Russian economy...
Sorry to cut you.
Yes, sir.
So if America isn't backed by gold...
Yes.
Because they've got the National Reserve, remember?
Yeah.
Right? If it's not backed by gold, what is it backed by?
It's backed by an extraordinary military power. There really has been nothing like this in the history of the world. The American military and the technology that they have far exceeds practically every country on this planet Earth. One of the problems is that, as I said earlier, that China is now a peer competitor. And as a result of that, they have also now built a formidable military. They have. And as I said, as a peer competitor, certainly in terms of industry, manufacturing, finance, and so on and so forth, they are a peer competitor, despite what anybody may say about that. But going back to BRICS, I think one of the most important things, as I said, about BRICS is that it gives a chance to not only challenge the status quo, but to imagine a world not run or imagine on behalf of billionaires and trillionaires. One of the problems is that there are machinations taking place right now that you cannot see with the naked eye. There are firms in this world that have so much power, people who really rule. And now this sounds as if you're delving into conspiracy theories. But I would ask you a question. If you look, for example, at the way in which Donald Trump is being treated at the moment, whether you like him or dislike him, you would say that is an abuse of democracy with what has happened to Trump. Do you honestly believe that anyone within the system could treat the director or directors of either Vanguard or BlackRock in the same way? Saying is that if you look at what happened with Donald Trump, I'm asking you, do you think that the directors of either BlackRock or Vanguard could be treated in the same way? Because these are companies that have investment in practically all of the major companies on the planet.
Right.
And certainly they have trillions at their disposal. And I'm asking you, do you think that they could be treated as disgracefully as they have treated?
No, of course not.
Donald Trump? And of course they couldn't. Of course they couldn't. And so, when I say to you that BRICS is important, is that it imagines a world that is not under the control of these people. As I said, when you said to me, what is America backed by? As I said, they're backed by an extraordinary military. And the thing is that they can project, because of the 800 military bases they have around the world, it's very easy for them to project power. And so, which country is having problems in Africa at the moment? Where was their conflict just started? In Africa.
In Africa?
Yeah. It's a question for you.
You're making me do my mental Rolodex.
Yeah.
In Africa, where was a conflict that just happened?
And
Sudan.
That's right. And,
I got there in the end, though.
You did. What they're telling you is the reason for that conflict really isn't the reason for the conflict. And when you delve deep into it, you once again see the hand of both the Americans and to a lesser extent the Russians. So once again, it's a proxy conflict. Once again in that country, because the Russians wanted a base, the Americans advised that government not to do that. When they decided to do as they wish, all of a sudden you have the planned implosion of that country, and then the mass exodus of diplomats in that country. And this is the reason why I say it's very. You've got to be very, very careful about media and the messages that they put out, because as Malcolm said, you'll get to a stage whereby you'll hate the people you should love and love the people you really should hate. And I think that's where we are at the moment. But I think that if BRICS carries on in the way in which it does, in the way in which it has, and they're looking at real equality, real non-interference, but of course,
and sovereignty.
Yeah, and
sovereignty.
Looking at real sovereignty. You adhere to the rule of law. Yeah, but certainly not the rule of law as given by America. You do as we say, or we will destroy you. Because if we've looked, and if you're honest, and you look at the last 30 to 40 years, and you've seen, if you lose a parent who has been run over, or someone unfortunately has killed them, you'll be in great agony. But think about the agony, for example, of people who've had to leave their countries because their countries have been destroyed. And isn't it a wonderful word, destroyed? Okay, let's move on. But what does destroy mean? Having laser missiles into homes, having extraordinary bombardments of countries, seeing people mutilated and murdered in the worst way. Doesn't matter whether it's Iraq, doesn't matter whether it's Syria, doesn't matter whether it's Libya, doesn't matter whether it's Sudan, doesn't matter whether it's Somalia, it doesn't matter whether it's Northern Waziristan, it doesn't matter whether it's Afghanistan, there is a certain pattern. If you go back a little bit more, it doesn't matter whether it's Vietnam or Cambodia or even China or Korea, it doesn't matter whether it's Australia or New Zealand that were taken. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the First World War or the Second World War or the Indochina. It doesn't really matter. There are a group of people, who are seemingly okay with this. We need, for a new world to emerge, it's first got to be imagined.
Yes,
it's
where everything starts in the mind.
100%. And for it to be imagined, and then you then put muscle on that imagination. That's the fortitude you need to push it through. I think BRICS is really the last chance that we have in this world of imagining it in a different way. And I'm certainly a great supporter of BRICS. I really am. Unfortunately, if I can just move a moment, I think that we in the West are living in a real-time collapse of the West, morally, spiritually, ethically. We have lost it. I'm not sure who it was who said, people shout at you long enough, you tend to believe it. Yes. And I think essentially that's where we are. Yeah. That's where we are now. The schools have been compromised. Yeah. The universities have been compromised.
Family structure has been compromised.
Family structure has all but been destroyed. Yeah. Disrespect is there. Men really can't take their women anymore and leaving them, and vice versa.
They're going overseas.
If you look at marriage, 90% of women who are college educated or university educated, who are married, tend to divorce their husband. We're dissatisfied, and that's where we are at the moment. We're looking at an inward implosion of the West, and I'm saying that it may be time to give other people a chance, give other politics a chance. But do I think that's going to happen? I don't think so. Do you remember your original question about when war's going to start? I think that
it's already started.
America
on a different front.
It has, and I believe they will burn the whole house down. Yeah, if they are not the leaders of that status quo. What is happening around us at the moment? This implosion, if you like, of the West. I genuinely now believe it's irreversible.
You believe it's only a matter of time before it happens?
It's happening now. It's happening.
I mean, before it goes all the way tits up, as we say.
Well, look. Let me just say to you: if you look at what's happening in schools at the moment, it's already gone quote unquote tits up.
Yeah.
Schools now are places for political propaganda.
Oh, 100%.
Sexual propaganda.
Yes. Sexualizing of children.
Gonna be drag kids in the world, and I'm one of them.
The sexualizing of children, the manipulation and terrorization of anyone who has a different thought outside of the status quo.
They're terrorizing parents.
I think one of the things that really gave me a little bit of hope, and if not hope, at least a little bit of mirth on my side, was the story regarding the outright bleeding to death of Budweiser. And them using
the Dylan Mulvaney thing,
if that's what his name is.
Yeah.
And the misgendering was deliberate, by the way, because he's a man.
Sounds like a transphobe.
I'm definitely not. I'm pro-human. But what you're not going to do is get me to use words that literally make no sense whatsoever.
I agree with you. I'm just playing.
Yeah, definitely. I scored 100% in my English language. Yeah, O levels. So please don't give me a
O levels. You're taking it back, bro.
I'll tell you. Yeah. But the point that I'm making, and it's a serious point. This bastardization of the English language, this terrorization of people who literally are common sense people. These are not subjective things. It's common sense. If you're a man, you're a man. You can feel however you like. I don't have any problem with that. You don't have the right to tell me that I have to feel the same way, or have to. I won't do it. The point that I'm making: do I want the West to survive? Of course I do. I live here. Yeah, but the truth is that I think we've hit an impasse, and something's going to have to give.
Okay,
that's where we are.
So with all that we've gone into today, all that we've dissected and gone over, because you know my stance already, and probably your stance too.
What's your stance?
My stance is that I am for the forward advancement of black peoples globally. Okay, I want black people everywhere to do as good as they can, and I don't care what you call yourself, as a matter of fact. I just want us to do good, but I don't believe we can do good if we don't know what's going on. With all that we have uncovered today and discovered, how does it affect black people?
Well, let me just say to you, firstly, I've given about 5% of the information that I wanted to give out, because I said to you, I haven't really delved into the Bucharest Summit the way in which I should have. I haven't spoken about the Minsk 1, Minsk 2 agreements. I haven't spoken about the coup and what happened for the coup to take place, and President Yankovic from Ukraine to leave Ukraine. I don't think I've gone into Zelensky the way in which I needed to, that I could have done. There's a great deal to speak about, but your question about
how does this affect black people?
Yes, yeah, I understand that. I'd say this. You asked me. I'm sorry to repeat this once again. You asked me initially, when do I think war is coming? You would agree with me, I'm certain, that if war starts, armaments will be used, missiles will be used, and so on and so forth. I have to tell you that nuclear missiles do not make any distinctions for race, and I want to be clear about that. And since they do not make any distinctions, if we are on the precipice of something cataclysmic, certainly we should know about it and seek to impart pressure so this doesn't come about. I'd say this also where America is concerned. 29% of the US Army, not the Navy, 29% of the US Army are black women.
Oh wow.
17% are black men. There are almost 50 million black people in America. Does it affect black people?
Yes.
Because you said you were about the betterment of black people across the globe?
Yes.
Yes, it does. So there are black people in America. 18% of the UK population is not white, not Anglo-Saxon. Anyone who suggests, for example, that this situation does not concern black people is either a fool or a knave. And the real truth is that this conflict presents an existential threat to the life of all of us who are on this planet, and the potential, I believe, for misstep is quite high. Whilst the West continues to funnel weapons of mass destruction to Ukraine, whilst the West seemingly has no interest at the moment in entering peace talks or negotiations, the chance once again for misstep remains incredibly high. And I would say to you that irrespective of what your colour is, I think one thing that those who are in power, and I use that phrase very, very carefully, who are in power, pressure should be applied. It doesn't matter your colour. If you act in a disgraceful manner, it will come back on you. It will affect you. You will not be loved. You will not be accepted. I'm for the betterment of black people across the planet. You know me. There are white people in my family, and I'm never going to deny them under no circumstances, because they're good people, as far as I'm concerned. But as I said, there is a system on this planet, and this system is run by people who are intrinsically evil, and the empirical evidence is around us. The last thing I would say is this: if you only look at what has occurred during the last 100, 150 years as individual situations, you won't join up what is happening. When you look at it and you start to link them together, a very, very clear pattern emerges.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just Iraq. Iraq was linked with Libya. It wasn't just Libya. Libya is linked with Afghanistan. It wasn't just Afghanistan. Afghanistan was linked with Iran. And it just seems that those who control the status quo have got to a particular state because of the power that they have, that world history has stopped. World history has stopped. This is how the world's going to be, and anybody who disputes that, you will feel the power that we can project around the world. And I think that we should reject that and carry on dreaming in the best way, or imagining, not dreaming. You've got to be asleep to be dreaming. You've got to imagine a much better world, and once you imagine it, we start putting muscle on those thoughts. That's what I'd like to see.
Well, big bro, we done a lot.
Yeah, could have done a lot more.
We could have done a lot more. Thank you for joining me again. The people have missed you.
Oh, interesting. I've missed you too.
Yeah, let's let people know I got the call. I got the call. This was so ad hoc. I thought I'd bring my whatever I had with me, my cameras, my mic. And we just done this. Big bro had something to say, and I think big bro did actually say it. You guys better remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, because maybe, just maybe, we could do another party. Yeah. All right then, big bro. Listen, is there anything you want to say just to round off?
No, I just wanted to say that everybody knows that I've been missing for a while, getting my head back straight, and I've travelled a bit, and I've hidden my hand, and I've literally just been taking a break and coming back to myself. And I'm literally almost back to myself, so I'm glad to be back with Sarah. I wanted to just give a shout out to one of our soldiers in East London, Marcus Lovelace, who's not here today, but the next time I come on, Marcus will be back with us. So big respect to Marcus.
Big respect to Marcus Lovelace.